Hello, my name is Priya, and today we're going to look at how Google can increase political ad revenue. So let's go to the slides. So why are we looking at this problem today? So the reason why is because the total political ad spend by political action committees. So there are about 500 plus political action committees that place advertisements and take care of the marketing efforts for the parties and the candidates that they are in favor of or in opposition of. And when we looked at the data from 2008 through to 2016 of all the political ad spending by these political action committees, the total spend was $2.6 billion. However, the spend for Google Ads was just $10.6 million. So clearly there is a value proposition in that the market value is much higher than the current Google ad spend by the political action committees. So let's take a look at how the data was extracted, where I got the data from. So here is the data. So this data was obtained from the Federal Election Commission, and the total large data set was obtained from Kaggle, and the Federal Election Commission posts the 24 by 48-hour report of independent expenditures of all of these PACs or political action committee. So over here we see the Senate Leadership Fund, which is the committee's name, and we see all other information such as when the ad was placed, which candidate they were placing the ad for, whether they were in support or opposition, and what type of office that candidate was seeking, such as president, Senate, or House. There are a plethora of information on the type of ad spend by these political committees. So let's take a look at the raw data. So here is the total data that we see. So here are all the data values that we have collected, such as the committee name, who was the payee, who was the vendor, and where was the payee city. We got data such as the description of the ad type and the expenditure amount for each ad type that they placed. And the total lines of the data set is about 161,896 lines, which is quite large. And this data was further filtered down to obtain just the data on Google's ad spending by all of these committees. So the Google ad spending by PAC came out to be 725 lines worth of data. So let's take a look at this data in a more visual format. All right, so here we have the Google political advertisement campaign data. So on the left, there's the committee spending. So Endorsed Liberty Inc. spent the most amount of money of $5.31 million. And American Future Fund was the second top spender, and Americans for Prosperity spent $1.74 million. And on the bottom over here, we see spending by candidate state. So we see that the South Carolina was the top spender in terms of where the candidate was that the ad campaign was placed for. And we see other states such as Illinois, and so we see Illinois, and then we see Ohio as some of the states, the top states where the candidates were. And over to the right side, we see a table where the data is represented on whether or not the ad was in opposition or in support of the political candidate that the ad was in representation of. So we see that on the top line over here, about $226 million was spent in opposition, while only $111 million was spent in support. So we see that clearly a lot of the top priority in ad spending is for opposition than for support. On the bottom right over here, we see spending on Google Ads by year and month. Here's the distribution. So we have a lot more data for lots more spending for 2012 and 2016. Now let's take a look at the total political ad spend by all of the PACs. So here is the total amount. So we see that $2.6 billion were spent. So we can filter this down by the months. So on the bottom here we have the aggregated political ad spending by year and month. So we see that there are few spikes within the data. So right here we see this is October, and let's take a look at this one. So this is also another October, and here we have another October. And as we move through the data, the values change as well to represent how much was spent on each of these months. So we see that the political ad spending is highly concentrated towards October. And that's because a lot of political events and political elections happen during October or near October. So, and on the right side, we have a table that represents media spend by the expenditure type. So if we if we look at the data over here, so let's go to this graph, filter out of this. All right. So we consistently see that television ad buy leads the media type that PACs spend the most amount of money on. So $82 million and an additional $2 million would spend on TV ads. So that's about $85 million spent on TV ads. So let's take a look at our framework and see how we can use this data to create opportunities for additional revenue. So our main goal is to increase the political ad revenue. So we're going to look at the data from three different dimensions, and the first dimension we looked at was the direct ad spend on Google products by PAC. So that one was this representation over here. So we looked at who spends the most money, we looked at when are they likely to spend, and we also looked at do they produce ads to oppose or support. So they clearly spend a lot more ad spending on opposition than support. And over here we have the total market ad spend. So the total market ad spend, including all of the vendors that the PACs have placed ads with, we see that we looked at who spends the most in the media type where the highest spend was, which was TV ad spends, and when they are likely to spend. October again was when the ads were placed the most. And over here on the right side, we see Google ad spend from all sources. So this is the data set that we're going to take a look at now. All right, so the total amount of money spent on Google Ads since May 31, 2018 is $111 million by all sources, not just PACs. And on the bottom, we see the interest by subregion for politics. For the topic politics is distributed in the map over here. And on the right side, we see the top 5 states where politics was the most, the search for politics related topics were the most. So District of Columbia, Virginia, and Vermont were the first 3. So the reason why I put this information over here is when we do target political ad campaigning, it's we could strategically target for these regions where politics is a category of high interest. So we'll discuss more on the opportunities and how we connect these data back to revenue ads. So next set of data we have is the politics topic and the search trends for that topic. As we see, it's very similar to this data that we saw over here, where a political ad spending was. So we saw spikes, and these spikes were for October. So similarly, these spikes that we see over here in the Google search trends for all keywords related to politics was October. And this is in alignment with the data that we previously saw for PAC ad spending. In total, that we see that October was the top uh, month when PACs spent money on. So next set of data is the top advertisers and the total ad spend. So as of today, from May of 2018, here are the top ad spenders that we could possibly target. And over here, we see the top keywords. These keywords are related to the political topic, and the most of the political topics, top keywords that ad spenders spent on were the names of politicians, while we see that the top keywords that users searched for in the politics category was Reddit politics, 538 politics, Huffington Post politics, to name a few. And we'll look at how we can align the user trend to better assist our ad spenders on which keywords to spend the most on. Okay, so let's take a look at the opportunities and strategies based on the data that we looked at. So, time series analysis. So we looked at the all three sets of data, and all three sets of data support that October is the right month to place political ads. So while it might be the right month for ad spenders to place the ads, it might be wise for Google to target these top spenders prior to these months, so that by the time so that they have ample time to make the decision on which type of media to spend and when to spend. And by the time October rolls over, they have Google as part of their portfolio of marketing vendors that they're pursuing. And the second set of opportunity and strategy that we see here is AdWords target. So that we target top spending packs when performing customer reach. So the third strategy is political message. So we saw a trend that the most amount of ad spending was on opposition ads than it was on support ads. So when we reach out to these targets, we can pursue them more for opposition ads. So the next opportunity is the market trend on advertisement type. So we saw that the most spending was on TV ad buy type of media. So what we can do is we can target YouTube channels of major television channels to purchase ads and have them place these ads within their new videos and their YouTube live segments during times such as October when political events are happening. And the next strategy is location alignment. So we can take a look at factors such as political interest based on keyword searches within a particular state. And we can also look at the highest voter registration and combine all of these data to see which state has the most political interest and which would be the best target based on the amount of people that we can reach in that particular state and influence based on the political ads. So optimizing location is important. And the next set of strategies are user keyword spend optimization by investigating the top political keywords. So when we did take a look at it a few minutes ago, we saw that Reddit and Huffington were part of the top political keywords. So they could be great AdSense targets. And when we do, we can reach out to Reddit and Huffington Post to have them place the political ads that are placed by our packs based on the political searches that we see, so that we can target the users of our customers, the users of Google search and YouTube, as they tend to gravitate towards the sources such as Reddit and Huffington Post. So thank you for listening to me. And once again, this is Priya Mahan. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.